President of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. So, Charlie, the mayors and the president are on a collision course over illegal aliens. How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, I think President Trump is going to win. And it's amazing the lengths that the Democrat Party will go to protect illegal aliens. And we have to just pause for a moment and recognize how successful President Trump's self deportation plan has been so far. You mentioned it, Jesse, but I want to reemphasize it. 1 million people have already self deported since President Trump has been sworn into office. The border is totally secure. Border Patrol agents, they don't know what to do with their time. While Biden was president, they were too busy acting as Trivago and Expedia.com travel agents for the entire third world that would show up on the southern border. And now they don't have much to do. But isn't it telling how the mayors of these big cities in Los Angeles and Chicago, they are held hostage by the most radical open border zealots in their party. Regardless of the destruction that they do and the cop cars they burn, they are unable to criticize or critique them because the life force of the modern Democrat Party and the globalist project is open borders. Thou shall have open borders is what keeps the Democrat Party together. And I have to just praise President Trump and his team's courageous immigration plan. And President Trump is now calling it remigration. We need more raids, more deportations. It's exactly what the American people voted for.
Right. More raids, more deportation raises wages. And that's what everyone's forgetting. Let's
Yes.
go over to the Middle East. Bernie Sanders, Charlie, just says he's going to introduce a resolution, the No War versus Iran Act. He says it's going to be an illegal war the president is going to take us into. Some people on the right, they're saying don't forget about Iraq. How are you reconciling these issues?
Well, first, this is the moment that President Trump was elected for. Thank God that we have President Trump in the Oval Office with this high stakes situation. Look, President Trump 10 years ago, he went down the golden escalator. And when he announced for the presidency 10 years ago to this day, he remade the Republican Party on foreign policy. He said no more permanent wars in the Middle East. He criticized the Bush-Cheney philosophy of endless quagmires. Albeit, though, he is not an isolationist. He is willing to use violent and precise force against our enemies, like taking out Soleimani or dropping the Moab, if and when necessary. President Trump understands his base extraordinarily well. He knows that his base does not want another Iraq. He does not want Libya, does not want a civil war or bedlam where the United States is left carrying the bag. But also, President Trump has been morally clear for a decade Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. And President Trump has the talent, the expertise to be able to thread that needle. The generation that I represent, Jesse, the under 30 crowd, they absolutely are very war weary. Many of them voted for President Trump on college campuses because they did not want to see a Joe Biden or George Bush philosophy where we get into this endless conflict where we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars. I think President Trump will be able to balance those two things while defending our allies, saying that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon without having to deploy a single American troop or even having America involved from the sky. President Trump can get that deal done while fulfilling the mandate that the voters gave him.
Yeah, it's a tightrope he's walking, and so far, so good.
He can do it.
Charlie Kirk, good to talk to you as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.